What's up, everybody? I don't know what you're laughing at. Nothing went wrong. Yeah, everything went
yeah,
according to plan. Especially
yeah. Don't worry, I'll edit it out on
now. I
my.
have to edit out your laughing. You fucked it. Now you really fucked it up, Cole. No,
Uh,
I'm kidding. I'll just leave it in. It's whatever. It's a good
yep.
good start. Good. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome to a new episode. This is episode 4 of the Hard Focus podcast. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in to our past couple episodes and that has been keeping up with us. We've got some really cool stuff going on and coming up, including today's episode. So we are excited to get started and share with you. But before we do, don't forget all the preliminary YouTube stuff and podcast stuff. Follow, like, share, subscribe. Share us with some friends that loves talking about film or filmmaking or directors, and join the conversation with us. We'll be having some other cool things coming up soon. Maybe a live episode. Cool. What do you think about a live episode? Maybe we'll do a live episode.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
Um,
possibly with someone. Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. So definitely some cool things. Keep in the loop and check out the channel for all the content we're doing and to keep up. We're out every Monday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. We got a really cool episode today. I'm actually really looking forward to it. We have a special guest with us. Um, and we're just gonna go ahead and bring him in and get started and do our usual things. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Alex Royale. How you doing, man?
Um,
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me. I'm doing pretty okay, with my drink. I'm ready to talk about it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, again, thanks so much for being here. But and let's get this started and just kind of with the simple stuff. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience? What do you do, and kind of how would you describe your career?
My yeah, if you can call it that. So yeah, my name's Alex. I'm a filmmaker, journalist, and film critic from Montreal, Canada. I describe myself as a huge fucking nerd, especially about film. Yeah, I don't know. I've been always passionate about the art form ever since I was a kid, and I was discovering, making ofs on DVDs, and I
Yeah.
would watch them for hours, even though I didn't even speak English back then. Like I didn't care.
Oh
I
wow.
just watched the images, yeah, and I was like, okay, so this is the camera, and there's a guy yelling cut. That's probably somewhat important. I was kind of figuring it out as I watched those, and I made my first short film when I was 11. It was terrible, and then I just went on to study film. I dropped out of college for reasons, but I kept going. Worked on a bunch of film sets in various positions. Recently directed my first short film that is currently making the rounds in festivals. And yeah, I'm also a film teacher and a critic. I write for an online and blog called Horreur Québec. So basically, it's in French, but it's like a horror based outlet. So I review horror films and I do interviews
Very cool.
with people. And yeah, recently I've just covered the Fantasia Film Festival.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. That's me.
Which very cool. Which happens to be giving an award and honoring our the filmmaker we're talking about today. That's actually the picture we have for his thumbnail. Is that nice picture he had at Fantasia?
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool, man. That's awesome. So you obviously grew up with a love of film and stuff. And what's kind of your background in film? What have you done in film and that type of stuff?
Okay. Well, first of all, I guess if you want to go way back, right?
Let's
So
go back, man.
let's go back. All right, cool. So when I was like a kid, I had a lot of health issues to the
Uh-huh.
point where I was either bedridden or in the hospital a lot. Now I'm okay, no worries.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Back then I had a bunch of health issues. So while my friends were playing sports outside, I was inside and I could do two things: play video games and watch movies. And so I watched a lot of movies, and I kind of became addicted.
Yeah.
So I would ask my parents to buy me. Well, back then it was VHS tapes and then DVDs, and so I was always trying to get some. I rented so much movies from the video store. I was harassing my parents and my grandmother to be like, "Hey, can you give me $10 so I can go rent movies?" I would do that like all the time.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, I made the first short film when I was 11 with friends. We did not have a script. We did not know what the roles on a film set were. We just kind of improv the whole thing. It was kind of a shitty slasher knockoff that we shot in our friend's basement. Yeah. And looking back now, it's funny because like I was directing, but I'm also in it, and I get killed. Like I'm the first guy to get killed.
Yeah.
And then like in the background of one scene, you can see me like after I've been killed, just kind of looking at another murder. Yeah, we had no idea how films worked, but it was fun to do. And I remember we put it on DVD, and like we kind of gave the DVD to everyone in our school, and it got passed around and shit. Yeah, and I don't know. I just stayed a film nerd my whole life. I studied it in college, even though I dropped out for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it always stayed with me, and I always knew that I wanted to do something with film, And so I kept myself informed. I always, watched new releases, even older ones, and I kept educating myself on my own until. Well, yeah, I decided to, during the pandemic, make my first official short film. That was something. So it's a horror short film that's about something very personal to me.
Yeah.
Recently I've been hired by Horror Quebec to become a journalist and a critic, which I am loving so much.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So, so you're getting to now as a critic and stuff, do some interviews and interview some directors and things like that. What's kind of been your as a filmmaker interviewing filmmakers? What's been like your favorite thing about that, and what have you been able to kind of take away from some of these interviews that you've done so far?
Okay, so I'm realizing because I'm not good at preparing things in advance. I like to. It's true. I really like to kind of wing it and have a conversation instead of just writing down questions.
Right.
I like to just kind of wing it. But what I guess my favorite part of it is to nerd out with filmmakers about, well, not only their work but about filmmaking in general.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to a filmmaker about if you notice one really simple thing that they did in their film, and that no one really notices, and then you mention it to them, and they're like, "Yes,
yeah."
They get excited because they're still a bunch of nerds. It's a lot of fun, but I've also learned that again, as a journalist, I need to tone down the more technical aspects of filmmaking for I guess the general public that's gonna read or watch the interview after, because if you get lost in technical specs and get very specific about their filmmaking, I think you're going to lose some people. So I have to kind of tone it down a little bit and keep it but not surface level, but close to.
Yeah, kind of make it for a general audience in a sense. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. So you do a lot of reviews and stuff. What would you say is the most important thing to writing a movie review and to getting across that message and reaching a kind of broader audience and that type of thing with a review?
So there's a few things, right? The first one that I would say is, first of all, don't forget that your opinion is not, it's not God's words.
Right.
If you're just one guy, right? And so just keep that in mind as you write a review, because some people are going to disagree, and it's okay. it's fine. That's what talking about film is. It's an art form. Now you have to disagree, to have debates. So that's the first main thing, and also make it your own. Have a little personality to the review, to what you're writing. Because if you stay very sterile and very like, I like this because of this, and I don't like this because of this, and you don't add your personality,
Right.
no, it's gonna suck. No one's gonna really want to read it.
Yeah, it's gonna be bland.
Absolutely, it's gonna be bland. And I guess the last thing that I would say is be honest with your opinion. It's like there's a sort of pressure like that comes with certain films, like a big popular film that everybody seems to love.
Sure.
You hate it.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
hate it, you're gonna be the odd man out.
Yeah.
The guy that shits on the movie that everybody loves. And yeah, it can be a bit frightening, but fuck it. You just do it anyway because it's important to be honest and have integrity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. That's awesome. I think that's great advice because I think you're right. There definitely is a lot of press, especially now with like Twitter and social media and the kind of hype culture behind things to just kind of like jump on the bandwagon, and yeah, if you're seeing things that didn't stick with you, or yeah, like you said, be honest. I love that. Let's talk a little bit. You talked about you were at Fantasia.
Yeah,
which that's pretty cool. It's one of the big horror fests of the year. So a lot of horror filmmakers, a lot of big names there and stuff. What was that experience like for you? What did you get to do there? Who did you get to meet? Was there any standouts? Let's talk about that whole experience. I'm really curious.
Well, first of all, before like going here as a journalist, I've been going there as an audience member for years. Like, it takes place in Montreal. I live in Montreal.
Okay, well, yeah. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah.
I go there pretty much every year, so I always know what to expect. But the fun thing about Fantasia, well, despite all of the movies that are showing, it's the audience, because everybody says about Fantasia audiences that they're insane, which is absolutely true. We get very enthusiastic about film. We scream a lot. We laugh. It's very much like a community experience, and no one in the audience at Fantasia holds back during a movie. Like, if they love it, they're gonna love it loudly, and if they hate it, they're gonna hate it loudly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's tough, but it's very fun. And yeah, as far as this year goes, I think it's the first time that I got to watch that many movies. Like, in 2 weeks, I watched 51 films.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Some would say that it's too many.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lot because I can't imagine all of them were great either.
There were a lot of terrible ones. There were also a lot of good ones. Like, I got to see like a bunch of world premieres, including Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty hot one. Yeah.
I got to see it as a world premiere. Yeah. And by the way, if you will allow me to tell you a bit of a story. Back to what I was saying.
Yes.
So at Fantasia, I was supposed to interview Chris Stuckman and Mike Flanagan for Shelby Oaks.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
I was supposed to, but then Neon acquired the movie, and they decided that they would cancel every interview scheduled for Fantasia, because they want to keep control over the movie, they're going to release it, worldwide next year. And so they want to keep it under control. They're very protective of the films that they choose to distribute, which
they want to do the marketing and have all that themselves. And
yeah. And here's the thing. So I saw the movie, and then I spoke to Mitch, Mitch Davis, who is basically one of the founders of Fantasia and like kind of the face of the festival.
Yeah.
And he told me that Neon wanted to pull the film from the festival.
Damn.
Like, to fully pull it.
Yeah.
But it was already sold out. Like Chris Stuckman and Mike Flanagan and the whole cast were gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
And since Fantasia is like the biggest genre film festival in the world, or at least one of them, I guess Neon didn't want to make the people at Fantasia mad, so they
Right.
decided to leave it in. But it was like if it had been a few days later or earlier, they would have canceled it. And so I feel
Wow.
very lucky to have been able to see it in the theater. But I didn't get to interview Stuckman or Flanagan. I did meet them though, and they are very, very nice people.
Nice.
Yeah, like Chris Stuckman, I've kind of grown up on, since I was like 16, 17. I've been watching his shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he, and like his reviews, like they helped me out a lot, and they made me want to get better at critiquing and reviewing film.
Right.
And so yeah, I got to meet him and tell him that, and he was very nice. He was very, very, very nervous. It's not the world premiere of his film.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very nice, and I got to have a 30-minute conversation with Mike Flanagan.
Wow.
He's also a really, really cool guy.
Yeah, I'm a massive Mike Flanagan fan. I absolutely adore it. Doctor Sleep is one of my favorite movies.
Okay, wait. You know what?
Oh yeah.
Give me 1 second. I'll be quick.
Oh man.
I'll be very quick.
Yep. Oh, he's gonna get like a prop or something, I think.
Oh my
No,
god.
it's not a prop. Yeah, it's just the Blu-ray that he signed for me.
Oh, nice. Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I absolutely love that film. I loved his TV shows on Netflix. Yeah, I'm a big fan of I love Hush. I really like Hush. I love.
There's finally going to be a physical release of Hush, by the way.
I did see that.
Mhm.
Finally, I know. Yeah, because I didn't realize that they had taken it off Netflix quietly without anybody knowing. I was like,
yeah, but
good thing I've seen the movie.
Well, he told people at Fantasia that he managed to get the rights back and that it's going to get only like an online release again, but also physical Blu-ray release. I think it's with Shout Factory, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But yeah, so and he's a super nice guy. We spoke about a lot of things. So yeah, meeting him was definitely a highlight. I've been a fan of his work forever.
Yeah.
What else was? Well, what else was very, very cool? Yeah, I did some interviews. I got to meet Elijah Wood also. Yeah, who was there presenting the movie?
Frodo Baggins.
Well, okay, it was kind of yeah, it was kind of random because it was the first day of the festival. I was just going to get my my press pass from from the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it as I came down the stairs to get in the main lobby of the university where they do the festival. I just see him come out with a few people, and I'm like, "Holy shit, Elijah Wood!" And I went to talk to him, and we got a photo. He's a super cool dude.
Wow, yeah, big fan of him too. Obviously, Lord of the Rings, and he's done a lot of other great stuff. And
but I'm also a big fan of his production company because that's the main thing that he does now, and he just takes filmmakers that have really weird out of the really weird ideas that no one would ever say yes to, and he says yes to them. And so you get films like The Greasy Strangler, which is an insane film.
Dear Lord, I want to see his that Toxic Avenger as well.
Me too. I hope it gets to be released. Yeah.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, he's very cool. What else? I got to interview. Well, so you might not know her from her name, but you know who she is. It's actress Dale Dickey. She is known for she was in 2 episodes of Breaking Bad that were really memorable. Like she plays, I think Skinny Pete's girlfriend. The really intense meth addict.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. And she, she was also in in Winter's Bone and like a lot of great things. And so yeah, I did an interview with her. She's an extremely nice person. She gave me like 5 hugs. Adorable. She's adorable. And of course, then I got to see the 4K remaster of Vincenzo Natali's Cube in theaters.
I didn't know they 4K remastered it. Yeah, okay. That's awesome.
That's why he was. Yeah, he was there to present it as well as to receive an award. And I got to interview him. And, the thing is that at first it was supposed to only be a 15-minute interview because the way they do it, you have like a green room where the journalists come to do an interview, and you have 15 minutes and then out because the next one's coming in, right? And so I get in, and the guy responsible tells me that the journalist after me has canceled. So like he's like, yeah, so you have 30 minutes instead of 15.
Jeez, that's awesome! Wow, that's so cool. That's another reason why you got to go into those things kind of prepared in case they ever do something like that. You just got your time extended.
It was very cool, and so we got to talk about all of his films, and the interview is online now. It's on video, and it's a great interview. I'm very, very happy that I got to do that.
Absolutely, we'll put the link in the description and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Yeah, I'll send it to you, of course. And it was pretty much the highlight of the festival for me to get to talk to him, because he's an amazing filmmaker and such a good person. He is so incredibly nice. You have no idea. He was honored that I watched all of his films, like fully honored.
Yeah, he was like, so cool.
Yeah, and at the end he gave me his personal email address.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. Yeah. That's so cool to be like a fan of somebody, and then you meet them, and it kind of goes better than you expected, like that. You kind of have that like weird thing in the back of your mind, like, God, what if we became friends? Or like and then if it happens, you're like, what?
It happens. And
that's like, so cool.
Fuck. Yeah, absolutely. So it was a really cool festival. A lot of really good movies, a lot of really bad movies, but either way, it's an insane experience. Because some of the films presented at Fantasia, they may never get another type of release. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
So this
could be your one time, one chance type. Yeah.
One opportunity. Yeah. You don't get to. So see, and and I like to go in as blind as possible. So I just kind of go into a film and I'm like, okay, what is this? And I hope it's good. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's absolutely shitty. But all the time, you kind of have a good experience because of the way the festival is set up.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stories with like each one, even if it's bad. Like I remember you talked about that Brush of the God film, which you didn't like, but the story of it is interesting. How the guy behind it who directed it like did special effects for a lot of old monster films and
if you'll allow me, Brush of, okay, I'll be quick, but Brush of the Gods, it's a kaiju film, so like Godzilla and Mothra and all those, and it's a Japanese film directed by a man who's like 80 something years old, and it's his first film as a director, because before that he worked as a costume and set designer for those old kaiju movies in Japan. Like he's the one who came up with the design for the original Mothra and for I think Rodan or one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the dude is a legend, and he's in his 80s, and he decided that he wanted to at least make one film as a director before he passed away.
Yeah.
And so he made Brush of the Gods, which was very much not a good film. but there's still like the heart of it is there, like like just to tell you how kind of beautiful it is in that way. It opens with the funeral of this old kaiju film director who has passed away, and then you have another old man who comes to cry at his casket, and that old man is played by the actual director of Rush of the Gods, who cries and says to his dead friend, "Why are you gone? We still had so many movies to make together."
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like since he put himself in that scene, I feel like that's actually a personal story, and that's kind of what made him have that idea to make his own movie, because like, I'm gonna die very soon. I'm old. I'm gonna pass away, and I want to be remembered. And I just think it's beautiful. And so you get to see films like that at Fantasia.
Yeah,
and
it's
get those
unfortunate what he
experiences.
said as well. Said that like he was going to be there, but then he had to be taken to the hospital right before.
Jeez.
He's okay from what I've seen. He's okay, but yeah, he was supposed to be there, and to talk about his film, but we were told the day of that he was rushed to the hospital. Again, he's still a man in his 80s.
Yeah.
And therefore could not make it. But he still recorded a video from his hospital bed, if I remember correctly, to kind of introduce the film.
That's wild. Jeez, he's like still making some sort of an appearance. That's awesome. That's dedication and love for him. That's such a cool story, though. I mean, like, yeah, and to be able to see movies like that who knows when or if the general audience will ever get to see it and that type of stuff. So that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, obviously, you've made a short film. We talked a little bit about.
Yes.
You made a short film called Balance, which me and Cole both got to watch. I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, I can't speak for Cole. Cole.
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yes, Cole also liked it. But yeah, there were a lot of things. Well, Cole, why don't you actually talk about what you liked about it? Did you have anything that you want to ask him from
Oh yes, I really love the direction in it. I thought it was shot really well there. I like the use of light.
Don't flatter me. Like if there's things you didn't like, you can tell me. It's okay.
No, there were moments in the beginning that I think were a little hammed up a little bit, and
I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like there were a few like edits or moments in like the direction and like the middle part where he starts to get frustrated that I think could have been done a bit better. They're filmed a bit better, and I also thirdly I wish while I do like the lighting, I was hoping for maybe like something some sort of like natural like lighting source in the room that also like play into like something artistically, some symbolism there to be shown. But other than that, I thought the rest of it was great. I love the performance by your main actor there, and the rest of the direction.
Marco Romeo. He's an amazing actor.
Oh yeah.
I need to name drop him because I'm extremely proud of what he did. Yeah, he really gave it his all, and he was incredible.
Oh yes, and the end in there. Wow. I love just the symbolism, how it's like the same sound of like a hospital monitor thing, whatever you call it.
That was the point, and I agree with you with everything that you said. You're absolutely right, and I also with that I think it's too long. When I rewatch it today, I think it's a bit too long because you can kind of see where it's going pretty early in the film. But you know what? It's okay because it's not about the destination; it's about the journey.
Exactly. And it's still like Cole said, it's still really well done. The direction is really well done. The cinematography is really well. I love a lot of the up close shots. Kind of you feel his frustration about the subject, and he's kind of in this a lot of really good shots in there to kind of tell and see him in that box of what his mind is going through and dealing with this. I don't want to give it away and spoil the stuff, but just really, Go ahead.
I'll give you because you're talking about it, but you've not told what the basic idea of it is, and that's so. Just to be quick about it, it's basically just about a man who is in his bathroom trying to prepare to go out. And then he decides to weigh himself, and he does not like the numbers that he sees on the scale. And that's the premise.
Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of and it's great because it's mostly there's not a lot of dialogue or not barely any dialogue. So you have
there's no dialogue.
No dialogue besides his shouting or crying or just really well done storytelling. I love stories like that are shot like that, and so yeah, great job. I really enjoyed it, but. What would you say was, kind of the highlight of making it for you? What was the inspiration?
Well, okay. So to get into basically, so I've been kind of overweight my whole life. My weight has kind of always shifted. And I've never been totally okay with it. And when I wrote it, I was at a point in my life where I really did not like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't like my body. I wasn't comfortable with it because I was very much overweight. Still am. I'm okay with it now. But yeah, I wasn't okay with it, and I had a bunch of dark thoughts. I actually thought about doing what the guy does in the movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah. And instead of doing that, I decided to write it down and just write it as a screenplay that I didn't plan to shoot ever. Actually, at first I just wanted to kind of get it out of my brain, just to exercise some shit. And then I sent it to Antoine, who is my cinematographer.
Yeah.
I just like, hey, I wrote that. What do you think? And he's the one who pushed me to make it. Who really insisted, like, no, we gotta make this. So he introduced me to Didi and Maxwell, who are my producers, and to Charbel, who is my co-director.
Yeah.
Because I didn't direct this alone. I didn't have the confidence to do it.
Sure.
Yeah. And yeah, it just kind of happened. We got really lucky. We managed to find sponsors. Like, we were sponsored by Red Bull, which is
that's awesome.
Yeah. And we did find an amazing actor to play the part.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was very into it. Like, pretty much everything that he does in the film, except the end, it's all real.
Yeah.
He actually all did it, which was really impressive to see.
Dedication.
Absolutely. So yeah, the point of it was just to exercise some inner demons that I had, and to kind of talk to myself. It was a $7,000 therapy session.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because that was the budget.
That's what most movies are. Most directors would say. Did you have any filmmakers or any movies that kind of you took inspiration from while making it, or that kind of stood out to you that you know?
Yeah, well, mostly for the look, like not for the directing itself, or the script, but mostly for the look. Because it's shot in one bathroom, and it's very like green and greenish, kind of yellowish also. And for that, I think that I got really inspired by the lighting of Joker.
Okay,
I had just seen it yet, when it had just come out, and I really liked the way it was lit, and I thought that it made sense to light it that way, because even though you're in this bathroom, that's just kind of a space that we all have. I thought it was interesting to put you really in the mind of the character, to have it be lit in a very sickly way.
Yes.
So like, those are not, like the green and the yellow mixed together. Those are not like nice colors. It makes you feel a bit bad, a bit sick when you see them, and that was
kind of dirty. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's in terms of that was the main thing that inspired the look of it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Colton, did you have any questions?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, what bathroom that is. What else did they film there?
Yes, I need to tell you. Okay, so again, of course, shot in Montreal, right? Because that's where I live. And so we found this bathroom was really tough to find, because I had a very specific look in mind. I wanted it to look kind of old. Like, you have the radiator in the back, which is a type of radiator that does not exist anymore, and that's really very old. And I wanted to find a bathroom that looked that way. And so we looked for a lot of places, and we ended up finding this house, because it's not an apartment; it's in a big house that the owner rents to movie shoots.
Mm-hmm.
In general, and we actually got to find it because of my main actor, because the woman who owns the building is his mother. So we basically had access to it for free, even though most people would have paid thousands of dollars for it. And the bathroom that we shot in, so it was like it was on the second floor, and outside the bathroom there was like this little kind of living room area. That's basically the size of my room that I have right now behind me.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks after we wrapped, Ari Aster and Joaquin Phoenix came there to shoot Boys Afraid.
Oh, wow.
And so Bo's apartment is the place that I shot in. That bathroom in my short is the same bathroom that Bo uses in his apartment, and the rest of the apartment is just the kind of living room space that was outside of the bathroom that they turned into an apartment.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you got the head start. You got to use the location first. That's so cool.
Before Ari Aster, and it's funny because then I saw Boys Afraid at the Montreal premiere, and Ari Aster was there, and I got to tell him that I shot a short film in that bathroom.
That is so cool. That is so awesome. That's really cool to have like those types of locations and those types of things around you and stuff, and yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't credit myself that much because I had a big team with me, and they were all great. They were all very committed to see this short film, exist, which is weird as a first-time professional director to see that there's a bunch of people who are willing to
get behind
work basically for free.
Yeah.
And make a lot of efforts and work a lot to see your vision on the screen, which in a weird way, since it was the first time, it kind of made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, but you don't have to,
Yeah.
In the end, I'm very grateful to everyone involved because that film would not have happened without them.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's always it's always for the most part a group team effort, and a lot of people behind the scenes and stuff. But still, that's so cool that you were able to get that done. That you were encouraged to do that and stuff. Do you have any other works or things that you can talk about in the works?
Yes. So I'm preparing a second short film, something that I wrote like years ago. It's really not the same vibe. It's not like a dark and gritty, depressing film about body image.
Right.
Instead, it's a horror comedy about how shitty it is to work retail.
Okay.
And to work customer service.
That is the perfect horror subject. I'm telling you right now, I've worked retail. That is a phenomenal horror subject.
Yeah, he's talked about a little bit to me before with it. It sounds great.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
Yeah, so I currently have a production company that's backing me on that. Awesome. We're trying to we're going to try to shoot it in like spring of 2025. And I hope it's gonna happen because I still need $30,000 to make it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's because there's a bunch of practical effects, and also I need to build a set because the set that I have in mind, which it's a hardware store, and the type of hardware store that I have in mind doesn't exist. Like the specific layout that I have in mind, not there, doesn't exist. So we have to actually build it from the ground up. So that's going to be tough, and that's why it's going to cost that much money. The big part of the budget is going to go into building a set, and the rest is going to be practical effects and paying actors.
Yeah, but still, that's amazing that you're working with the bigger budget this time around. Are you
Yeah, trying to. I haven't found the budget yet. I'm trying to. We haven't found it.
Still, but I love the ambition and stuff. Any other projects or anything else that you're developing or in the works that you can talk about?
Yeah, there's a few things. There's a documentary that I've been working on for a while about a friend of mine who is a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Oh, wow.
And he's a professional one. And
wow, it kind of reminds me of like that Mr. Lonely film.
Yeah, but my friend is actually a good person, and it's not it's a dog. Yeah, so I met him. His name is Freddy Dufour. If you guys want to Google it, he's got actually a Guinness World Record for the longest moonwalk ever. He did it for like 3 hours, nonstop. And basically, I'm trying to do something because he wants to become. Basically, his goal is to redo like exactly the same way every Michael Jackson music video and every Michael Jackson show.
Yeah.
It's an insane goal, and I think it's fascinating. But I know he has the drive to do it, and I think that he's very talented as well. And he looks the part. He really looks like Michael Jackson.
Wow.
But like not Michael Jackson 2009, like Michael Jackson 88. You know, before the face started falling apart. Yeah.
Right.
And so yeah, there's that, and a few other like projects, short films that I'm kind of thinking about, like I'm writing, and maybe a full feature at some point. We'll see.
Yeah. That documentary, are you directing that as well, or just right?
Nice. I am. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, is that the one you said that's like 5 years in the making, or?
It's gonna take a while to do. Like
It'll be worth it though.
Because I'm gonna try to stop. I'm only gonna stop when he either like gives up or makes it.
Yeah.
So it might take years and years and years. But hey, okay, we're doing it.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. So you're just following documenting the journey. What would you say? Obviously you grew up in Quebec, so you saw a lot of French cinema and stuff. What was some of your inspirations in French Canadian cinema out there?
There's a lot of really good films, and I'm glad you asked this question, because kind of Quebec cinema in particular, it's very much its own little world.
Yeah.
Right, we have our own, our own financing system, our own star system. It's very unique in the filmmaking landscape, but we do have some amazing movies that come out of here, and people don't talk about them enough. So yeah, I do have some recommendations if you don't mind. That I highly suggest.
Yeah, I'm sure one of them definitely is Red Rooms. That your friend.
Yes. So there you go. I have the poster.
Nice.
Red Rooms, right there. Yeah, right next to a Jackie Chan autograph.
What?
I think he accidentally disconnected. Oh. I think he showed too much info.
Yeah. No, that was Jackie. That was Jackie sending his team after him.
Yeah. But honestly, while he comes back, I will just say that story for him. Basically, and you can ask him this question as well later if you want. But he works on an extra for films, and yeah, he told me that like one of them was the newest Karate Kid film. And he ran into him, asked for a photo. He couldn't though because of NDA reasons. But then he went and got that prop from the film and signed it. Yeah, he framed it. Yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, he was another one of his heroes he met. Yeah,
legend. He's a legend. Jackie Chan is a freaking legend. Here we go. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
After some technical difficulty. No,
again.
You're good. No, that's awesome. So some French Canadian films you would recommend.
Yeah, so there's Red Rooms is incredible. I think it's actually showing in the US right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's a really dark thriller.
Oh yeah. If you like court drama films like Anatomy of a Fall, then you'll love that.
And like some Fincher stuff,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very good. Red Rooms. If I can go for some older ones, I can recommend Leolo. So Leo, basically Leolo.
Okay.
Oh yeah, our friend Joker recommends that a lot.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. So it was made in the 90s, and is the director's second film. He died after in a helicopter crash, I believe.
Jeez.
Yeah. But he made two films, and this one is his masterpiece. It's just about a kid who is kind of it's a coming of age story about this kid who's growing up and who's kind of testing and trying everything that's kind of forbidden.
Yeah.
And so it's really like also in line with Quebec history, because if you know a bit about Quebec history, you'll know that we used to be a very, very religious province, because the prime minister was very, very religious. And so it resulted in a lot of movies that talked about transgressing those rules, and that's one of them. Even though it was made in the 90s, like way after that, I think the director might have grown up. in that era. I'm just talking out of my ass, by the way.
No.
Sure of what I'm saying. You're just kind of growing up and figuring out who he is by trying forbidden stuff, and it's very, very good. It's very beautifully shot. It's very poetic. I think it's a full-on masterpiece. So there's that one, and here's if I can recommend another one that I actually discovered recently. That was made in the 70s.
Oh, if it's the one I think you sent me before with the guy.
Yeah. It doesn't have an English translation. The title, but it's called Parlez-nous d'amour, and basically it's a movie about the dirty and trashy backstage of French Canadian television. So basically, you have this guy who has a talk show, and it's just kind of weird talk show where he plays games with the audience, and like they're mostly old ladies who bring him gifts and shit. And so even though like the facade is this very nice, very polite young guy, as soon as you go in the backstage of that, you see this really fucked up, trashy world where there's sexual abuse and violence and drug use and and stuff like that. And what's interesting about this film is that every scene basically is based on something that actually happened in the 70s in TV. Because the director, it's just like stories that he heard or that he lived through and decided to make a movie about. Even the main actor, the type of talk show that he has in the film, that guy was actually the host of a very similar talk show in real life. And the movie ruined his career. He couldn't find a job after because of that. But it's really incredible, and it's insane that it got financed.
Yeah.
If you want, because like those are the ones I'm thinking about right now. But I can make a list if you want. You put it in the description or something.
Well,
I'll make you guys a list.
For sure, that'd be great. And I know you have your letterbox. I told him about as well. You definitely rate a lot of films on there that are French Canadian that I recommend. Really great. Another thing that I did just want to mention. It's related also to somebody you were gonna work with, but just as another one, like forgot the exact title of the film he made that's like very popular, but I'm sure you know it. But involved the filmmaker like Eric Canuel, if that's how you pronounce
it. So again, anyone who's listening that's outside of Canada, you might have not heard of this film. So this is a filmmaker, a Canadian filmmaker named Eric Canuel. So Canuel, and he made a movie that is one of the most successful Canadian films ever called Bon Cop, Bad Cop. And it's basically a buddy cop movie. You have one French Canadian cop and one English cop, and they have to work together to solve a case. And it became really, really, really successful, because there's always been a divide between French Canada and the rest of Canada. So this was a movie talking about that, like those differences, but also how we can reconcile them in the form of a buddy cop comedy. And so this guy was a very famous Quebec director, and I kind of knew him a little bit. I was supposed to help him sort of. He was going to send me a script that he wrote, and I wanted my opinion on. Yeah, he wanted my opinion on it, and he unfortunately passed away earlier this year. He had leukemia.
15th.
He had leukemia. He'd been battling it for years. I'm very glad that you bring this up, Cole, because he was a really cool guy and a really nice person and an excellent filmmaker. Even though everybody in Canada knows Bon Cop, Bad Cop. He's made other films, and they're all very different, and they're all very interesting in their own rights. And like near the end of his life and career, like he worked with the likes of Christopher Plummer and
legend,
and James Caan. So
Jeez.
and he he was just a really cool person, and I'm very sad that he is gone. And I think it was I'm glad that Cole brought it up so I can shout him out. So Eric Kenwell, he's a very cool guy, and I'm very sad that he's gone.
Yeah. Wow, that's a pretty wild story too, and that's it just sucks, in Hollywood we have projects like that, and the creator, something happens, and but
I was happy because he was talked about after his death. He was talked about in the Hollywood Reporter and Variety.
Oh wow, yeah,
which is awesome. Honestly, I'm very happy that he got an homage in those outlets.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that is good. As we kind of sort of now move into our director at hand, or topic at hand, as you said earlier, you did get to interview him and stuff, and which is just amazing. What was the biggest takeaway from that interview for you as a filmmaker, for you as somebody who was just like, what did you learn from him?
Yeah, so Vincenzo Natali, it's funny because I only became a big fan of his work sort of recently because my roommate, who was also a screenwriter and a filmmaker, she was always a huge fan of his, and she started showing me his films. Like the only one I had seen was Cube, like a lot of people.
Yeah,
and she showed me the rest, and I basically fell in love with this guy's work because every film is unique in the way that it's made and the things that it talks about. But also, one thing that I really, really admire about Vincenzo's movies is that they always go as far as they need to go. Like he doesn't stop himself, and he pushes his concepts and his ideas to their very end.
Yeah.
So very unapologetic, and even though it doesn't always fully work, I think it's always very well done, always very interesting, and always very unique. And so I guess that's what I admire the most about him. About his filmmaking is how much he refuses to compromise his ideas and just goes for it, even though a lot of them are not well known. A lot of them have flopped.
Yeah.
He still
work, but he's dedicated.
Mm-hmm. And again, such a nice person, such a cool guy.
Yeah. That's awesome. How so? It has obviously. Had you seen his movies when you had done your short film?
I think I had seen only Cube at that point.
Okay. Has any of his, now that you've kind of seen his filmography and interviewed him stuff, have they inspired you in any of the works that you're currently working on, or giving you anything towards that, anything to take away?
It's funny because I haven't fully thought about that yet, but I guess so, because you always kind of bring with you in your work the things that you like, the things that inspire you.
Absolutely.
And in Vincenzo, in his movies, he talks a lot about people that are trapped, whether it be in a place or in a situation.
Yes.
And I think that it kind of makes sense with what I'm doing. But that's not the. It's funny because that's not how I see my work at all. Like what I write usually, and I sort of do this unconsciously because they're just the stories that kind of pop in my head, but they're mostly about people that are kind of looking for themselves, that don't know exactly who they are and that are unsure and insecure.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of that comes with being trapped, and that in my first film that you saw, it's very much about a man who feels trapped in his own body.
Yes.
And in the next one, it's about a guy trapped in his shitty job that he hates.
Right.
So I guess there's that similarity, but that's not exactly conscious. I'm only thinking about it now because you asked the question.
Well, still, that's good that you kind of now get to think about it a little bit more and stuff. And I'm sure as you do more and all that, it'll be interesting to see where that influence falls and all of that. But with that, let's go ahead and get right into the filmography of our director, Mr. Vincino Natali.
Vincenzo. It's
Vincenzo. Yeah,
Vincenzo Natali.
Vincenzo. I'm gonna butcher it. This is why Cole has to coach me before.
Say it with me. Vincenzo.
Vincenzo.
Natali. Yeah.
There you go. Vincenzo Natali. So obviously, we'll start with what we're gonna do because he's done a lot of TV as well. Is we're gonna run through he's got a pretty short filmography, so we'll run through his filmography and then kind of talk a little bit about his TV works as well. Starting with the one that you saw, the Fantasia 4K remaster of Cube, which I saw for the very first time a week ago. And I really, really, really liked it. I was like, "This is so cool," and I feel like I don't know where if I had seen this. I mean, what's interesting is it's kind of like a Saw type concept, but a lot.
It predates it. Predates a lot of films and inspired by it, honestly, and that's what I really like about it.
Right.
Right. James Wan has cited Cube as his main inspiration for Saw.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
You don't have Cube. Yeah, you don't have Cube. You don't have Saw.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, I do just want to mention that I really like about it as well is, there's definitely like nitpicks and things here and there that are a little cheap. But the thing that though is this was made on like a budget of like $350,000, and so once you realize that, it's pretty insane what they were able to do. And also, if you look in behind the scenes of how they built the sets and everything,
it was one room.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's what I meant. The one room. Yeah,
but it's still a very intricately designed room and that type of thing. There's a lot of, Yeah. Go ahead.
For the people who don't know the movie, I think we should do this, to kind of explain what the films are.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know the movie, Cube is about this group of people who wake up in this room that is in this cubic room, and they'll soon discover that this cubic room is next to more cubic rooms, which are next to more cubic rooms, and they're basically in this giant cube made of different smaller cubes. And some of these rooms are trapped with some really deadly apparatus, and they are trying to get out. That's the main premise of Cube.
Yes. That mixed with, a lot of different backgrounds of the characters. Each of them have kind of their own past and their own history that start to intermingle and stuff, and a pretty crazy ending as far as, what happens. So, I really, really enjoyed it. It was very much of a surprise of just, thrill and entertainment and enjoyment. Yeah, it's got a couple flaws and stuff, and a couple plot holes you can nitpick and stuff, but for the most part,
the acting's a bit cheesy and
it use work, but again, with the budget, they couldn't hire the best actors, but also I think the further it went along, the better it got the acting, and also there were ones I definitely recognized from other stuff, like the one male lead. I recognized him from this one film, The Kid Detective, which I recommend. Great film. But he also like reuses a lot of actors too on a lot of projects. I know that.
Yeah, I think the one you're mentioning is David Hewlett.
Yes, which is another guy you might be doing stuff with.
We'll see. We're not gonna project too much here, but maybe.
Cool.
And he ended up being in basically every Vincenzo Natali movie in one way or another.
Yeah.
Because Cuba. I love this movie so much.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a really nice, pleasant surprise. I didn't expect and stuff. A lot of great twists and turns. I really liked some of the characters, even though some of the acting wasn't. The characterization was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. Cole, your overall thoughts of Cube?
My overall thoughts, it's just again, great film. Just how it's made, how it's presented, I really love. Again, definitely could use some work here and there with the acting and editing and other moments, but I still really love it a lot. And the further it goes on, I think the better it gets. Like the beginning, it feels a bit cheap in how it's presented, but as it goes on, I really enjoy it a lot more, and really like the symbolism and a lot of like the visuals and everything it presents there, and with feeling trapped and all the characters like different issues. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil that ending, but yeah, I did not
It's a
see
really
that
cool
coming.
ending.
I did not see that coming, but yeah, and again for a
Wait,
Canadian
did you
film with
both
this budget,
did you both discover it for this?
I discovered it for this. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know
oh
about
yeah,
Paul.
I've seen it before this years ago, but it did take me like a while to see this. So it was always a film where it was very popular, and I've seen it like on all the streaming services and recommendations, but it took me just a while to see it for whatever reason. I don't know, for some reason I just was thrown off by it, and I also thought I didn't realize it was like made in 1997 for some reason. I thought it was like, I guess because of all the other sequels and remakes, I thought it was like made in like after Saw, so I just like rolled my eyes like, oh, another Saw or Hostel clone. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, then I watched it
No,
and
it's not that.
pleasantly surprised. Yeah, definitely.
Because
Recommend.
it's very smart, and the Saw aspect is very much more similar to the first one than the rest. You know, like it's not overly gore, and it's mostly about people kind of thinking. That's mostly, and butting heads. Which is also what I really like about this movie, because it's you have all of these characters that are all kind of parts. They kind of all represent a part of society. You have you have this guy who's a bureaucrat. You have this guy who's a police officer who kind of represents toxic masculinity. You have this you have a doctor, who's also kind of a conspiracy theorist, a student, and this autistic guy who has a big problem with the color red.
Yep. Oh no.
All good.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. We'll
but
just
yeah,
have it.
there's
We could just talk about other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also there's a lot of really good metaphors, obviously, into kind of capitalism and
For sure.
certain other things.
Yeah, and
even the way that the autistic kid is treated.
Oh yes, and he talked about it in the interview as well. But yeah, in all of his other films, they also has like similar messages and stuff with this as well that he uses. Yeah, very good. Also, I'm still jealous that he met Matt Johnson and Stephen Ogg at a Fantasia too.
Yeah. I mean, when you go to, especially as a critic or in that position, you definitely get to come across a lot of people and meet a lot of people. It's your opportunity to really, get yourself out there and introduce yourself, make yourself memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
and
awesome.
And I will also just mention as well. I think he's back again now, but I also will just mention quickly.
This keeps happening.
It's all good. Yeah, if you ever like, if you're one of those people who like haven't really seen many documentaries in your life or are thrown off of the idea, then I'm saying I would recommend chatting to Alex about it. Maybe he can give you some suggestions, because he brings up a lot of great points about it, and it'll change your mind.
Yeah. So yeah, your thought, as you were saying, more thoughts on Cube, your Alex.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of this micro society that develops within this environment, and where because like the characters are all archetypes, and they're all gonna butt heads, in many different ways, while they're trying to escape. And even though like some of it is kind of dated since it was made in the 90s, I think it kind of works really well as a microcosm of society, and to show like the different conflicts that can arise with between people. Like again, you have a cop who is very very violent guy, who kind of sees himself as this leader when he's just a bully, and pushes people over, which is weirdly reminiscent of what we're seeing today with a lot of stuff that's going on. So I guess that in that way, Vincenzo Natali was kind of a visionary. And like some people of, I guess, minorities that were that were kind of mistreated in
Sure.
Cube. It's Kazan, who is the autistic guy.
Yes.
Who has a lot of problems communicating, and who gets pushed around, and who is not seen as someone who could be useful to the team because of his handicap, and who ends up being very important later on. I just think it was kind of ahead of its time when it comes to characters and themes.
Yeah, like we said before, there's a lot of metaphor, a lot of big themes in there as far as capitalism and other things, and I agree. It's kind of a lot going on within this very small, constrained environment, but a lot to say, and so I thought it was really enjoyable and very entertaining in that sense as well.
And it's still a long movie. It's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's free on YouTube right now.
There you go. You can check it out for free on YouTube. With that, let's go through our kind of as we typically do after each film, our letterboxed reviews. Out of 5, Cole, what would you give But
you can do out of 5 or out of 10. But I mean,
no, you got to do 5. It's letterbox, Cole. Get with the program, damn it.
Well, look, they do half star zone. There's 10 of them, so it's out of 10. You can look. I give it.
Always has to make it complicated.
I give it around a 7 to 8 out of 10, which is in the 5. They knew it would be a 3.5 or 4 out of 5. So there we go.
Sure.
Alex?
For me, it's not. It is a 4.5 out of 5. I adore this film. In everything that it does, in terms of pure filmmaking, the themes, the character writing, and even like the gore and the violence that's in it, that really, really advanced the horror genre.
Yeah.
Again, as I said, we would not have the Saw franchise if Cube had not been made.
Exactly.
So, yeah, for me, for all of these reasons, for me, it's a near perfect film. Again, the acting's a bit hammy here and there, and some parts could have been tighter in terms of directing and writing. That's such a minor problem for me in the whole incredible experience that is Cube.
Yeah.
So 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, for me, I would give this one a 3.5. Probably, again, super entertaining. I think that's the main thing. It's like, it's super entertaining to watch. It's tight for the most part, like 90 minutes. Doesn't really drag. A lot of interesting characters. And like I said, I think probably on rewatches and stuff, you'll just grab more, and kind of catch more themes and more things like that. So
that's the thing. I saw it a lot. I saw it a bunch of times,
Right? Yeah. He's like, I've seen this movie. Yeah. So So for me, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 letterbox. Mm-hmm. And with that, let's move right along into his next film, which I'll just say this is probably my favorite of
Cypher.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. This was fun for me. This was fun.
Yes.
This was fun for me.
I agree. I think this is a gem of his, honestly.
Yeah. I think it was really, really let me see what year it is, because it definitely feels a lot of the elements of like the Matrix. 2000. Okay, so I don't know if he took elements of like the Matrix, but obviously not.
Oh, for sure. At that time, they were all trying to be the Matrix at that time with US studio films, which butchered a lot of films at that time, sadly.
Sure.
Including another with Lucy Liu, which is infamous now, called like X versus Ballistic, or some Ballistic X versus Sever, where it's the only film ever that has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes with over 100.
No, there's more.
Oh my god!
There's more.
The director got screwed by the studio, and the studio is infamous for making stuff like Battlefield Earth and stuff, where they just did that German tax write-off thing to make their films like Uwe Boll and stuff. And it's a crazy story. I would look into it.
By the way, if you don't follow Uwe Boll on Letterboxd, you should.
His accounts got banned, sadly, but I do follow him on Twitter. He's hilarious, especially recently with that one Borderlands film. He's just like, now you bitched about my video game movies. Hey, look.
Damn.
Well, no, someone kept his reviews on Letterboxd. They made the Uwe Boll archives. Go go follow that. It's incredible.
Uwe Boll archives. That's amazing.
This man has the worst taste in films.
Yeah.
Actually, if you will allow me, I will read to you a few of his reviews just to give you an example.
You gotta
Oh
read
my
a
gosh.
Rampage review.
Okay, no, I'm gonna read his worst takes because it's very funny. Across the Spider-Verse.
Uh-huh.
You're a fucking asshole if you like this.
Oh, no.
0.5 out of 5.
No. Oh no.
Midsommar. I know everyone will like the movie, but this movie makes non-fucking sense. It's a simplistic movie with nothing. The story is bored. The actress is crying like a poor 3-year-old girl. It's Teletubbies with rituals and other bullshit. Suck it. 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, Cole's not gonna like that. Cole took that personally.
I mean, I get it. I love Midsommar as well. Or like he also wrote one for Detective Pikachu.
Oh no.
And I mean, they're all insane, and that's why it's so funny. What did he say for that one? Detective Pikachu. He said, "Fucking garage." I think he meant garbage.
Probably.
Only children will like this. Adult man child with the gummy bear and the bears and all of this stuff. So stupid.
I kind of agree with him on that.
Oh
But yeah,
my
anyway,
God.
go follow the Uwe archives on Letterboxd.
Oh,
It's
for
amazing.
sure.
Dear Lord. But yeah, no, so Cypher I thought was actually for something that was taking what felt like from kind of some other sci-fi films at the time and stuff. I thought did it pretty well. The whole kind of espionage aspect, of course you have the pill in there and some other things, but
what is Cypher about?
synopsis. So the kind of quick synopsis. It's a guy kind of in this daily world but then is recruited for this espionage type role and is sent to record these kind of conventions / lectures and these types of things, very simplistic type thing. And he meets someone who kind of opens his again. I feel like I'm describing the Matrix. It's kind of hard to describe. It's because it does have a uniqueness to it, but he meets somebody that opens his mind to possibly a new reality and all these types of things. And so definitely some tropes there and all that, but it's worth the watch, I think, because there is a uniqueness and it is not the Matrix and like as far as like Neo saving the world, or it's more kind of toned down in that sense and more of this character, but also not. It's kind of hard to describe, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I again, the second movie I've seen of him that I thought was just kind of fun and entertaining. There are definitely some schlock moments, which is also partly why I did enjoy it maybe a little bit more. I love me some schlock every now and again. But yeah, overall, I thought it was very interesting. Again, at a time when this kind of concept and idea of reality and what's real and what's not is very popular and all that. But I liked it in this world of, again, kind of espionage and spies and all this other type of stuff. I don't want to give too much corporations and yada yada, all the fun things that come with that. So a pretty interesting little sci-fi thriller that I'd never heard of. But Cole, what are your thoughts on Cypher?
Oh yeah, I quite enjoyed this as well. Again, this is another idea that I think is just really interesting with the mystery of everything. And I think this is executed just as well. And another thing with this film for me is just the visuals and cinematography. I think is a big step up as well. I think kind of took like everything he learned from Cube and really perfected it a bit more. I would say this is honestly pretty even for me with Cube. I just love it all. I love just the thriller moments and the mystery aspects to it. I think it's paced super well, and it's very like tightly knit story. There's like no loose ends or parts where I'm like bored at all. And I really like the acting as well, especially from Lucy Liu. Really like her in this. Quite enjoyed it. Great, and I love the premise of this. I think this is again quite an underrated gem. Like not enough people have seen this at all. It's sad.
Yeah, it's very underrated. I'd never heard of it until now. You know what else it kind of gave me, even though it's not close in plot too much. Visually, it gave me kind of Minority Report vibes.
Absolutely. Even though they came out the same year.
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely agree. It's very similar, and it's funny because, so I think that Cypher and all of Vincenzo and Natali's filmography, I think it's the most underrated one because not enough people have seen this. And from what I'm reading on Letterboxd, a lot of people don't understand it. It's fine. No, but like it's fine. Yeah. But the thing that I think that people don't get is that it's supposed to be a comedy. It's supposed to be a satire, of many things, right? Of the spy genre, of the corporate world, and like the plot really takes some ridiculous turns at some point. Like there's like quadruple agents,
yes,
and like betrays, and like there's a twist at the end that, when you think about it, doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But it doesn't matter because the whole point is to both be a riff and a satire of the spy genre, as well as a part of it.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of succeeds very well, and you get that vibe of how the corporate world kind of makes you go crazy in a lot of ways. Because this guy is tasked with going to a bunch of corporate conferences and just record them for his company to do like corporate espionage, which means that this guy, who has the shittiest, most boring life of all time, thinks of himself now as a gigantic spy like James Bond, because he flies from place to place to watch people talk about like taxes and spreadsheets
and press a button.
Yeah, and it's hilarious in that way. And it's very Kafka-esque also. If you've ever read Kafka, it feels like it's in that type of mood.
Yeah.
A bit surreal, a bit strange, a bit out of this world. And you even have like some tropes of like noir films as well, like the femme fatale played by Lucy Liu,
right?
And a lot of shit like that. So yeah, for me, Cypher is kind of brilliant. And if you watch it, like if you take it fully seriously, you're probably not gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
But if you kind of get with it and understand that it's not supposed to be serious, or at least not fully serious, I think you might dig it a lot. And and I discovered, it's funny because I watched it the day before I interviewed Vincenzo.
Oh wow!
Because that and In the Tall Grass were the two films of his that I had not seen.
Yeah.
So I watched them both back to back, and Cypher was just an awesome discovery. And even when I talked to him about it and I told him that I saw it as a comedy, he was like, yes, of course, people don't get it.
Yeah. Okay, so you can even convert it. Yeah, I agree. There's definitely again, kind of schlockish moments that I thought worked actually well and I enjoyed and stuff. And I actually, like I said, I enjoyed this one. I think probably the most of the films that I saw of his. For me, this one's probably like a 4 out of 5 for me. Letterboxd.
Yeah, same here. It's a 4 out of 5.
For Cole.
Yeah, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5, 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. So also, I really enjoyed it. Super entertaining.
I just want to point out again, because I'm going to do this for every single one of his films, but David Hewlett, who again is in Cube, who plays the bureaucrats, the guy who's kind of
right.
like, oh, I'm nothing. He's also in this. He's the guy near the end who brings him into the silo.
Okay.
So yeah, I just want to point it out because he is in every film of Vincenzo's career except for one.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
I love when directors do that. Have an actor that they work with in every film or something, even if it's a small part or something.
He's not in Into the Tall Grass, and there's a reason for that I will tell you after.
Okay.
I think I might know the reason, but I'm not going to say it.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
So the next film we have on the list. Now this one I did not get around to seeing, unfortunately. So this will be for you two to kind of talk about. Is Nothing. 2003's Nothing.
Oh yes. So this
Nothing
one
is fully on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it is on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, this film I didn't enjoy as much as his other two, but I still like it quite a lot. You can pretty much explain what it's about, I guess, Alex.
Yeah. So Nothing is about two roommates who are best friends, who are roommates, and roommates who are friends who are roommates. They live in this house together, and one of them decides to move out with his girlfriend, and the other doesn't like that at all, and they kind of get into a fight. And at some point, they're fighting, and the one that doesn't want him to move kind of chases them outside, and they end up being in this white void, like that goes on to infinity, where the only thing that exists physically is them and their house, and the rest, nothing.
Oh wow!
And so, and this is basically about their friendship and how it evolves. And it's the first one, and the only one that Vincenzo Natali made that is a straight up comedy.
Yeah. And I heard he likes it quite a lot because it's very has similar like messages and everything to Cube, but without like the dark stuff, more like comedic stuff. So I heard he likes it a lot, and yeah, I did quite enjoy it, and with that change of pace there as well.
Yeah, and also stars David Hewlett again, who is one of the
I love him in this. This was like one of my, even though I don't like this as much as like some of his others, or at least like the last two we just talked about. That's probably my favorite part of this film. Actually, I really love his performance in this.
Yeah, it's him and Andrew Miller who plays Kazan in Cube. So he brought back two actors from Cube, to be the two actors that are in this for the whole runtime. And it's kind of an insane film in that way, because how do you pitch this? How do you say, I want to make a movie where two guys are arguing in an empty white void for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And it gets really creative in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes...
the structure I think is lacking a little bit, but it does get creative at a lot of points.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they get to manifest objects and like whatever they want to kind of live within this void and kind of fix their friendship and fix their own issues at the same time. And so again, this is another one of those films that feels like a therapy session, where you need to go to talk about some issues, go through some of them. And it's funny because in this one, I think it's Andrew Miller's character who is severely scared of being abandoned by his friend who moves out with his girlfriend. And so the idea of them being stuck in this void forever kind of brings him comfort in a way, because then his friend can't leave because he's stuck there with him. And so you have these two friends who need to figure out their shit. One of them needs to needs to become less insecure, and the other one needs to be a bit more empathetic towards his friend. And so, I think it's kind of brilliant in terms of pure writing. It has a lot of problems in the structure, in the editing, and in the directing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's what I was disappointed by. But I think the heart is still there. I still think it's a solid film overall. And, it really is like just like the perfect like film that like sums up, in my opinion, like the early to mid 2000s. Honestly, there's just so many of like these character films and coming of age films like in the 2000s at this time that are just like really similar to this, I think, in just the messages and like the feel and visual style and everything like this, and like wrist cutters and everything. Like that's the other thing. Yeah, I really kind of like gave me some nostalgic feel to, I guess.
Right, it's kind of a vibe, right? In that way, it's very strange because again, it's nothing. Like the production design, it's literally nothing. It's white void, but yet it kind of makes you remember stuff. It kind of gets you nostalgic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's sort of like films like The Vast of Night, independent films like that, where a lot of it is just like listening to the characters, but you can still imagine in your mind, even if they're not showing anything visually, because of how well they're telling it.
Yeah. Okay, so and I got to talk to David Hewlett because he was at Fantasia as well for Cube, and I asked him about Nothing because I think this movie is fascinating, and I asked him how they shot it because again it's a white void, and like you don't even see their shadows ever. So I asked him how they shot it, and basically what David told me was that it was a nightmare to shoot, and not only because the only way to not see their shadows ever was to have lights everywhere, like on top, on 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 the floor, on the walls, in the studio. So they were like very very hot the whole time.
Yeah.
Because again, when they shot it, you didn't have LED lights. It was light bulbs, and it was really hot light bulbs. And and also even then they could kind of see their shadows sometimes. So a lot of it they shot with the two main actors on wires suspended in the air. Which you can't notice at all because of the white void that kind of suppresses perspective. And I think it's the insane way of shooting anything. And David again told me that he hated the shoot because of that.
Yeah,
because he was, imagine having a constant like wire suspending you in the air from the crotch for hours on end.
Oh yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah, that would be painful. And yeah, I also know, some of the inspirations for this was Twilight Zone episodes, and also that George Lucas film, THX 1138. It's another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing is a very strange little movie, and I think it's one of those that either you really like or you don't. If you watch Nothing and you tell me this is the worst film I've seen in my life, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. I'm more in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would your guys' Letterboxd review be for?
For me, it's a 5 to 6 out of 10, so it's a 2.5 or 3 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
That's totally okay, but yeah, for me, it's a 3.5 out of 5. Again, because I really like what he's doing with the writing. I think it's a little frustrating with the way it's directed and the way it's edited. But it's an experience, and it was very much an experimental film, which I think you can forgive. And again, like I said earlier, what I like about Vincenzo is how he goes through with every single idea that he has to the very end, even if it doesn't necessarily seem to work.
Yeah.
And he does it in that. Again, it's an insane pitch. Two characters arguing in a white void.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like what? Yeah, that's crazy. But it's, still, that's an it's such a wild kind of out there, concept. Well, interesting. I'll definitely have to check it out at some point because I've seen the rest.
It's on YouTube, fully on YouTube.
Well, with that, let's move on to, I would say is probably most well known for film, at the time. Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. I remember seeing it when I was younger and being like, this movie is fucked up.
It is.
It was produced by Guillermo del Toro. I was just like, yep, that makes sense.
And that is Splice. So, for those of you who don't know, Splice follows these two kind of genetic scientists that they play around with different animals' DNA, trying to combine hybrids and species and all this type of stuff. And they eventually they have aspirations to kind of do it with human DNA, and so they start to do it secretly and create this being of human DNA and other animal hybrid things, and kind of start to raise it secretly and teach it and all these other things until, of course, like everything in these movies, all goes to shit. So yeah, this was I did rewatch this one because I'd seen it as a kid and I remembered a lot, but it was like, this is a fucked up movie, and then
it is really fucked up.
Yeah, and then rewatching it, I was like, yeah, it's still a pretty fucked up movie for you know, but again, such an interesting concept, you know, an idea. This this is just one of my favorite concepts in general across just especially sci-fi, and this, you know, kind of the idea of us playing God, creating something better than us, or doing that type of, whether it's robotics or something like this, or hybrid, or some Prometheus type shit. You know, I love that idea of us, you know, creation wanting to be the creator, and so this has that mix with it, with of course a little corporation mix as well, because they are working for a company and things like that, and so I actually really liked it. I really liked it. I had, you know, a couple issues with it the second time around, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Super wild film. That ending is another one that is, this guy sure does know how to do an ending. And it makes me, I didn't even look, but I wonder, was there ever going to be a Splice 2 or anything? But
I don't think so.
Okay, like,
that would be cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, with the end,
it is a bit open, but I don't think it's the point.
Yeah, I think it's better not. You know, it's like making a sequel to Ex Machina. In my opinion.
Prega.
Like, you know, or like Cube, because like there were 2 sequels to Cube and a remake, and the 2 sequels are very bad. So I'm glad that there's no sequels.
Oh, so I forgot if it was Japanese or Korean, but yeah, that one was really terrible.
Yeah, Korean, the Japanese remake of Cube. But yeah, the thing about Splice, how do I say this? Give me a second. I just need to turn off my camera for 1 minute.
No, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah, because my roommate wants to go behind me and she doesn't want us to be seen on camera, which is
no worries.
But yeah, okay. So the thing, Splice is an insane film, in general. You know, and again, when I spoke to Vincenzo about it, he told me that the hardest part of that movie to sell was the sexual aspect of it.
Sure. Oh yeah.
That people were on board up until they talked about that aspect of the movie.
Yeah. You got some wild incesty things going on, but like, you know, like, well, not incesty, because obviously they're not related, but I mean, they do treat it like a daughter, right? They raise it, you know, and teach it, and kind of, you know, have that thing, and then a lot of shit goes down sexually in that movie. That is just pretty some Game of Thrones level shock, you know, maybe even more. That's like, I agree. That's I can see that as a studio executive, where you would go, yeah, not too sure about that.
Yeah, it's very hard to sell. You know, it's like, imagine Frankenstein if Victor Frankenstein fucked his creature, and that's pretty much Splice. And so it's very much a movie about like parenting, about being a parent.
Yeah,
you know, and in the most fucked up, weird, strange way.
Yes.
But it also manages to be a really tense movie. There's a lot of sequences in there where you're just so stressed out and you're not feeling good for many different reasons. And this happens to be Vincenzo Natali's favorite film of his. That he, at least, that's what he told me, because of one of how intense the premise is. So he told me, if I remember correctly, the interview that I did with him, he had the idea, like way back, like I think back when he was making either Cube or Cypher, and he tried to pitch it for years. It took 12 years to make.
Yeah.
Until he met Guillermo del Toro, and Guillermo del Toro said, "Yes, I want to make that. Of course, I want to make that."
Yeah.
That it happened, and it's really a daring movie, and in a lot of ways. Not only in what it says about genetics and science, but also about abusive relationships, not only with a spouse but also a kid.
Absolutely.
That you have. Yeah. And it's interesting because how do I explain this one? Well, okay, the interesting thing is that in most of Vincenzo's films, so Cube, Cypher, and Nothing, it's always a character or characters trapped in some way. In Cube, they're trapped in the cube. In Cypher, it's this guy who is trapped in a life that he hates and tries to escape.
Right.
In Nothing, they're trapped in this white void. And here, the person being trapped is not the main characters. It's the creature that they create. And I think that's a very interesting way to twist that theme on its head.
Absolutely.
Because again, like she's basically a child. She grows up, and she wants to, very quickly. But she wants to see the world. She wants to become her own person. And also she wants to experience love, sexuality, and she's raised in an environment that does not allow that for many, many reasons. Most of the main one being that if people know that she exists, she will be taken. She'll be killed probably.
Yeah.
But still she's still a person. She's still technically, a human being in some way. She's got a consciousness. And in that way, it's kind of similar to Yorgos Lanthimos' Dogtooth. In that way. Of course, not in the same style, but in the themes of it, and and it's a very bold film, and the funny thing about it is that for a while Vincenzo was married to Delphine Chaniac, who plays the creature.
Well, okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And also, you have to salute the performances. Adrian Brody and Sarah Polley are both incredible.
Brody's great.
This film, it's so well directed. It looks incredible. But again, if you hate it, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely had mixed reviews. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Cole, what did you think?
Oh yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Again, not my favorite out of his films compared to the other two, but I quite enjoyed it. I think it's pretty solid. I don't get why the ratings for this online are so low, honestly. I mean, I do get it. It's, not the premise and everything, definitely isn't for everyone, but I quite enjoyed it as well. And again, Adrian Brody and just all the actors in this I thought were great. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's just the first time that Vincenzo actually worked with a big studio and had an actual budget.
That is true, honestly. But yeah, I would say my only big issue with this is I do think there were areas in the story and screenplay that I feel like could have been explored a bit more, but outside of that, I can't really see any issues with it. Again, I like the visuals, I like the designs and the effects. It's just really interesting and thought provoking as well. Everything they cover. I really don't have any flaws per se with it.
Yeah. It's one of those films that once you're done watching it, you kind of have to take a breather. Okay, I need to watch cartoons now just to
I need to
Oh
Need
God,
to lighten the
I love
mood a
your
little
review
bit.
of it, man. I love your review. A nice documentary about how Woody Allen met his wife.
Oh
Yeah, that's
no!
my review on Letterboxd.
Oh no! That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, with that, what would you guys give Splice for
Uh,
your letterbox,
yeah, 6 out of 10, 3 out of 5. Really good.
Alex?
I like that. Like, it's very good. 3 out of
Yeah,
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
3 out of
Trust me,
10.
for me, that's 5. Like, let me just say, a 5 out of 10 for me is solid. So yeah, it's good, good for sure.
Oh, okay. For me, it's weird because I originally rated it 3.5 out of 5. I rewatched it to do this, and I loved it so much more on a rewatch. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 again. I
Oh wow!
think this is an incredible movie, and I get it. People don't. I get why people wouldn't like it, but for me, it just works so much, especially on a rewatch.
Yeah, I think this one's a 4 out of 10 or 4 out of 5 for me too. Just because I love the concepts, I love the kind of creepy, you know, things. I like a lot of the things that are happening in this movie, even though I'm not a fan of some of the story beats or some of the plot holes or whatever. Like, I can get behind most of it. I think it's creepy. I think it's weird and just wild, and also kind of talk about a self reflection too. I think these characters are very much self reflecting on their creation and all this type of stuff. And yeah, it's yeah, for me, I really enjoy it. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. Letterbox score. But that does bring us to the final film that we have on the list. I know we have an honorable mention and some other things to still talk about,
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
the final
Yeah.
thing.
Actually, no. In the Tall Grass is not his last film.
Yeah, yes. It's we have 2 last ones. Yes,
There's
it's
2 left.
it's the main 6 ones. It's Haunted and
Yeah,
Hunter.
Hunter.
oh, Haunted,
Hunter, and
right?
then In the Tall Grass.
Yeah,
Haunter. Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
if
So
you've seen
so
In
we're
the
gonna
Tall
talk
Grass.
Haunter, and then in the tall grass will be the kind of honorable mention. I missed that one. I did not even
No,
That's
see that
it's a cool film.
on the IMDb one. Is that the one
uh,
with Thomas? No, that's not the one. That's Patrick Wilson. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Okay, yeah, definitely talk about
I'll
that
be
one.
honest. No, out of all of them, that one. Yeah, we'll
Hun-
get to it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, Hunt. Well, I didn't get to see Haunter either way. So these next two ones, I won't be talking too much.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay,
But
well,
Have you seen it? Did you watch Hunter, Cole? Or...
yes. It's yeah, the main character, yeah, played by Abigail Breslin.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically a teenager being stuck in a time loop, and
Yeah.
uncovering kind of like the once
The
again in like
reasons.
similar, yeah, all those and like actions and everything, and sort of similar to like I would say Cube and all his other films as well. Have similar things to that, and with like about the characters and their actions and everything. And yeah,
Yeah.
this for me, I would say the plot out of like all of his films, this wasn't like one of the strongest for me personally, or the most tightly knitted, in my opinion. But what really just holds it together, I just think, is like I don't know. I just think this is a rock solid film, like in every other area from just start to finish.
Mhm.
Like this is a film that for me doesn't do anything spectacular, but it doesn't do anything like bad at all. Just from start to finish, it's very solid. I really enjoy just the setup and plot like this, and with all the twists and turns of it, I really kept me engaged, honestly. And once again, yeah, your friend David there, great performance from him in this
He's so
again.
good.
Yes, and so yeah, Abigail did a good job as well. I heard though that yeah, she had a panic attack during this,
Yeah.
really bad one, so
Yes.
almost
jeez.
went to the hospital, I believe. But yeah,
Yeah. But yeah,
yeah,
so Hunter is about this teenage girl who is stuck in a time loop, reliving the day of her 16th birthday.
Mm.
And like I think I can reveal it because they reveal it very early in the film.
yeah, for sure you can reveal it.
She is dead, and the reason she is reliving the same day over and over is because she died on her birthday. And so The movie is going to explore the reasons that made her die and her trying to basically pass on to the next life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very. I think it's his weak. I think it's Vincenzo's weakest film in many aspects. But there's a lot to love in there. Like a lot of the directing is extremely cool and extremely creative. There's a sequence where she finds a secret room in her house, and that sequence is so cool in the way it's directed. It's very very fun, very very creative. There's some really insane performances in there. Like again, David Hewlett, who plays her dad, and there's another character that I'm not going to spoil his role in the movie. He's known as the Pale Man. I'm just going to say that. And that guy was terrifying in this film. And so it reminded me a lot of the others,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the way that, but in the way of instead of her being dead and the ghost being the twist, it's the premise. And I think that makes it very, very compelling from the start, because she has to figure out why, and also like it's a coming of age story, and the interesting part of it is that it's a coming of age story for you from the perspective of a teenage girl who is never going to come of age because she passed away, because she is dead.
Yeah, kind of. Reminded me a bit of. Sorry, Interview the Vampire a bit there, certain moments, but and also sorry, what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, right. That was what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say. Another thing that this film kind of reminds me of is a bit like I believe I read a Letterboxd review that also like said this as well, but that I agree with. It's kind of like a Blumhouse film, but in the best aspects of like one of their horror films, like of their PG horror films, like in the best aspects, not the bad ones. That's what kind of like this film reminds me of a lot. And yeah, I also completely agree. The camera work in this I really enjoy.
Yeah, because also like again, they had very little money to make this, which is kind of what Vincenzo is used to have very little money, and so he kind of has to make do with what he's got. And in this movie, what he has is a house and a bunch of actors, and like some of these sequences are truly frightening. At some point, like she sees different versions of her family, what they could have been, and it's not always pleasant. Tell you that. Yeah. It's weird because I even though I think this is his weakest film in terms of writing and directing, I think it's the strongest in terms of pure concept.
Yeah. Interesting.
I still think that people should check it out because it's a good idea. It goes far with these ideas. I just think that it falls flat in terms of directing and sometimes writing, but also I think that some of that is due to the budget constraint.
Yeah, they can't really fully realize some things. I get it, but yeah, the writing was definitely for me just the weakest part of this, but everything else I think really kept it afloat.
There you go.
I mean, for me, it would probably be like a 5 out of 10. So 2.5 out of 5. What about you?
Me, it's going to be a 3.5 out of 5 because even though it's his weakest, I think there's enough good ideas in terms of pure directing, pure visuals, to make it kind of stand above the sea of mediocre haunted house films.
Oh yes, yeah, I agree with you there, and yeah, there are so many I delve into in the past. I regret it. Yeah, so I guess then the last one, I suppose, In the Tall Grass, which Austin hasn't seen either, so I guess we can just talk about that, where, this is a Stephen King adaptation, and...
Well, it's not only him, he wrote it with his son, he wrote it with Joe Hill, his son, because I think it's important to mention,
Yeah, basically, I believe, like, couple like, yeah, here's a child screaming for help while they're driving along the road, right there beside the meadows, and then they go searching, and then they're kind of similar to Cuba, many others, just then like stuck in a I forgot what you would call this. What would you call it? A time thing, or like a
I call it time fuckery, personally.
yeah, I don't know how to explain this one exactly. Yeah,
there's some time fuckery,
like in a time loop.
No, it's not a loop per se. It's just kind of a bunch of different timelines, I guess, and dimensions kind of merging together within this field of tall grass.
Interesting.
So you'll have like different versions of the same characters interacting, not only with each other but also with other versions of the rest of the group.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, not the biggest fan of this film at all. For me, this is easily his weakest film. I wasn't really into it. If other people are into it, I totally get it. It's just maybe I didn't get it, but I just thought the acting from everyone, including Patrick Wilson, who was originally supposed to be played by
David Hewlett.
Yes.
Yes,
James Marsden.
That's why. Yeah, and then James Marsden. But yeah, so because I asked David Hewlett why he's not in the Tall Grass. It's the only one of Vincenzo's films that he is not in. And he told me that he was supposed to play the Patrick Wilson part. Like at first, when the script was first written and they pitched it to Netflix, they were supposed to. I just got gifted a glass.
Oh, nice. Well, they wanted a bigger name.
Yeah, they wanted a bigger name, so David couldn't do it, and I think he would have been perfect.
I agree with that, because Patrick Wilson wasn't doing it for me in this. He tried his best, but I didn't feel it. And then James Marsden also went to do Sonic instead, and the rest of the act in this for me is really weak as well. And then just I think the pacing is kind of atrocious. Kind of repeated the same ideas. It got very repetitive and boring for me. I like Stephen King and I like the idea of this, but I thought the execution was like similar to M. Night's Old, honestly, in all the worst way, which I think is terrible.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, and I called that film like the equivalent of like test footage where they give to a better director to do, and it ends once it finally gets to being somewhat interesting. There were moments in the visuals that were cool, like how the stained glass in the church kind of looked like grass, and it had moments at points like that, but not enough to salvage it for me at all. I really did not like this whatsoever. I actually think it's kind of terrible, honestly.
That's fine, dude. But I am gonna have to disagree.
Okay, I'm excited to hear.
I don't think it's a perfect film at all. I do agree about the pacing that's a bit fucked up, and about the acting that's not incredible. Far from it. I think a lot of it is due to.
Also, I think I will just say another thing I forgot to mention. There was some good sound design at points, especially like I read up on IMDb. Like there were points where like the grass was like saying certain things if you heard it properly. So I will say that's another thing.
But so I think I kind of disagree in a lot of parts. I do agree that the acting is not great, but I think that's mostly because of Netflix pushing some names. And
I'm sure they really butchered like his original ideas for this to an extent.
And not letting him fully, control the film.
Yeah, I could tell.
But still, I think there's so many incredibly cool ideas in there. Like, because I think that the biggest challenge. Well, that's what I thought, at least. When I asked Vincenzo about it, he said that it wasn't a challenge. But for me, the biggest challenge in that movie is to renew your directing while being in a grass field the whole time. Like trying to figure out how to make grass scary. And for me, I think he pulled it off. Like they have a lot of these beautiful overhead shots, where the grass will kind of move with the wind, and it'll feel like an organic entity, like a sort of like a sort of octopus, where each blade of grass is gonna be like a tentacle. There's even like a sequence where they're like at the center of the field and they're kind of fighting, and the grass is physically like moving independently to kind of point towards them here and there.
Yeah, I did notice a lot of those scenes, and yeah, I did enjoy those, and there were even moments with like the shots of seeing the characters in it where it gave me like flashbacks to like some like scary looking shots in the war film Come and See, but unfortunately, I think it's very few and far between in this film, and the main reason why also is because I think a lot of moments where he tries to do that, and he does do his best with it. Once again, kind of ruined by the characters and everything else that makes it not scary or impactful at all for me personally.
I fully understand, and again, this is me again, but I think that a lot of it is due to the Stephen King-isms of it all.
Oh yeah,
because again, it's the only one of his films that is based on other material. Usually it's based on screenplays that he was given by a friend or that he wrote himself, and in this case, it's based on the book. And I think that also with a producer such as Netflix, you really have to commit to to the corporate version of it all.
Yeah.
Which sucks because, as we have seen in a lot of previous Vincenzo Natali films, he's not the biggest fan of corporate culture, as seen in Cypher and in Cube and in everything that he's made. But now he has to work with this big corporation, but I think he really makes the best of it. And I really like the idea of people being trapped. And yeah, in this time, yes, they are trapped in the grass field, but they are also trapped in this idea that they can escape, that they can get out of it, even though they can't for most of them. And I think that's very interesting. It's very much a movie about how sometimes your choices don't matter. You always think that you're in control of your life, but sometimes you're not, no matter what you try.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very terrifying idea. And maybe grass is not the best way of representing it, but I think that visually it's such a cool idea. And being like the idea of being trapped yourself in the grass field, fuck man, I don't want that. You can't see in front of you. And yeah, I just think that the whole Stephen King-isms, they're kind of what brings it down for me, as well as some of the acting. And I just really wish that Vincenzo had full control over it and that he could have cast David Hewlett as the main character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, damn, it's been a little while since I saw the film, so yeah, honestly, yeah, some of your points you made, yeah, it brought back like scenes in my mind as well, especially like near the end with like with the characters and stuff, and how it's like there's no getting out of this. Where I quite enjoy it. I really do enjoy just the concept and what he tries to put in here. Again, the execution and all and everything just it didn't work for me, but I can completely get it if it works for other people. Like a pass for me, but I would still, anybody, watching this, give it a chance,
Yeah, of course.
That,
like for me, it's still a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the directing.
Yeah. For me, might be a little harsh for this rating. 3 out of 10, 1.5.
That's cool, man. That's okay. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like, also I think it's the safest of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have films, like Haunter, like Cypher, like Nothing, like Splice, where he really goes hard with really weird ideas that a lot of people would say no to. and then you get to In the Tall Grass, which is very it's very mainstream in the way that it exists. But again, I don't think it's necessarily Vincenzo's fault. I think it's mostly because of Netflix, who want the most mainstream safe films ever for a mass audience.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I just hate Netflix. I'm thinking about now just so many films that they kind of butchered in my mind.
Yeah, they suck. They
Yeah,
suck.
yeah. I mean, they had a good run at one point. Like I liked the stuff they were doing in like 2019 and 2020 and such
Mhm.
with a lot of films, and then they
I mean,
dropped the ball
they
after
still
that.
made Roma, Marriage Story. They did.
Yeah, and Irishman, and I'm thinking of ending
Well,
things, just many things, and then they kind
yeah,
of lost it, unfortunately. Out of all the streaming services out there,
yeah,
uh, yeah,
absolutely.
I probably just like Max the most, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's Vincenzo Natali's filmography in terms of full features.
Oh yeah.
And before we move on to TV things that he's directed, I think this is important to say. He released recently a graphic novel that he wrote and drew himself. It's called Tech, and I was lucky enough to get sent a review copy, and it's a really cool book.
Wow.
And I think that people should read it. It's on Amazon. It's also available on Vinegar Syndrome's website. And yeah, again, Vincenzo told me that it's something that I think he had first an idea for as a film, but then realized that it would be way too ambitious and too expensive, and no one would say yes to it. So he decided to make a graphic novel
Yeah,
of
I
it.
mean that's what a lot of filmmakers or writers do. But yeah,
And
yeah,
it's really
I'm looking it
cool.
up now. Yeah, it looks cool. I'm just like seeing it online right now. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And yeah,
Yeah, people should get it. It's very good.
for sure. And for TV stuff, like I know he did that one thing, The Stand. Had a lot of
Mhm.
big name actors in it, like Stellan Skarsgård and stuff. And yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I'm not didn't love it, but yeah, it was. I think it was pretty solid. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Outside of that too, he did a lot of great stuff on on other shows. The Cabinet of Curiosities,
Oh
the
yeah,
Westworld.
yeah. What I
This
appreciate with
episode,
Cabinet of Curiosities though is he picked out a lot of like horror directors who I think were quite like underlooked by a lot of people. Like he picked out, for example, the director of what was it again, The Empty Man and everything, where his film was like,
yeah,
Right.
yeah, just screwed over. So yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah, the Empty Man
Yeah.
is very cool, and people have not seen it enough.
Yeah.
Look, he did one of my favorites, Hannibal, Wayward Pines. So he's I would venture to say that yeah, he's done some really cool stuff in the world of directing TV, and so he did an episode of Luke Cage. So he's definitely done some cool things. I'm kind of curious to see if he'll develop a show or something. I think TV might be a strong suit for him. I think.
Yeah, I would love to see him fully make a TV show, like in the style of Mike
Mhm.
Flanagan.
Right, right,
I think it would
absolutely,
be insane. Yeah, but also
absolutely.
the thing is that it's kind of hard to live in that industry. Especially since Vincenzo's movies are so unique and they're so unapologetic. I think he can only live and die by independent cinema.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah, you're
Yeah.
so I
probably
don't think
right.
that, yeah, I don't think he's ever gonna have the budget to make a Haunting of Hill House or
Yeah, I don't
like
think
that.
so either, sadly. But maybe to an extent, though, he prefers that. Like, I know there's a lot of directors who do prefer lesser big budget stuff, especially like Robert Eggers recently after when he did The Northman, had a lot of studio issues and everything with it, so he'd rather go back to a bit smaller budget films. And I'm very excited for Nosferatu, but anyway, that's besides the point. And also, I know he did a small documentary on Terry Gilliam for his Thailand film, and I quite enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
Cole, as we start to kind of near the end here, I know you have your thing that you like to do.
Oh yeah, so here's the thing.
What do you like to do?
Yeah. So here's the
thing. What do you mean?
This
here's
is something
the thing.
where I don't know like if it's something like we're gonna like continue with permanently or not. It was sort of like the thing at the start where at the start we would just do like a summary about the director himself, and but we figured it's kind of just like reading off of like a Wikipedia about his like life and everything. It was just like there's after the first 2 episodes we were just like whatever, it's like there's not very much of a point, and we can talk about like that stuff like during the reviews anyway and like about him. So this is a similar thing where I don't know if this will continue, but at the end we do a little trivia thing. And nice. During our chat though, I wrote down like 12 questions, and during it a lot of them were already kind of like then said by all of us accidentally.
Oh wow, your questions were ruined today?
Not ruined, but I mean sort of, but not really, but but I got 5 or 6 left, so I'll just say them. But I usually just do a fun trivia thing here. We'll see if we can do it in the future, but for the ones I got, okay, so the first one, what Twilight Zone episode was an inspiration for his film Cube? All right, and this will be 6 options, multiple choice.
I mean, I know. I don't even need.
Yeah, I know you probably know, as friend Joker would, with probably Quentin Tarantino films when we do that episode. But so it's mostly for Austin. But is it A, 5 characters in search of an exit? B, Where is Everybody? C, Escape Clause? D, The Shelter? E, Nervous Man in a $4 Room? Or F, The Lonely? And I'll set here.
I would have no clue. Where is Everybody?
Wrong.
No, it's the first
nervous.
One.
Nervous.
In search of an exit.
5 characters in search of an exit. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a really cool episode. You should check it out.
Yep. Okay, so let me just one moment here. I'm just want to make sure that this question is still intact. Is it? Let me see. Sorry, I'm just
it's all good, man.
Checking for something real quick.
The good thing with it being not live is that you can edit stuff. Like when I dropped out.
Oh yeah,
no, we're leaving that in there, man. That's in there to stay. It's called.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them we might leave in there because we filled the empty space. But yeah.
Yeah. What's the other question? Go on.
Yes. Okay. So here's another one. Just true or false? Splice took him 12 years to complete. All right. What do you think, Austin?
That's false.
It's true.
Yeah. Wow. To write, put together. Wow.
No. From the idea to the actual making of it, it took him 12 years because no one wanted to make it because of the sexual aspect of it.
Yeah, okay. I didn't realize that was it was a 12-year thing. Okay. I kind of missed it. Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
Anyway, so here's another one. Which film of his featured the most recurring actors from his debut film Cube? So which one featured the most recurring actors? Was it A, Cypher, B, Nothing, C, Splice, D, Haunter, E, In the Tall Grass, or F, Graveyard Rats?
The hell is Graveyard Rats?
It's the
It's this
episode he did.
episode
Okay.
of
I'm counting it as like just a film here, though, because
I know the answer, but
Well, I'm gonna say Cipher.
No.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's
It
only
was the one
the
one I didn't see, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mentioned that it had Andrew Miller in it, who plays Kazan in Cube.
True. Yeah, David and Andrew. I didn't realize though. I thought there was maybe more. I think that's only 2. So I was like, okay, is there maybe one with like 4 or 5? Did he bring them all back or something? I missed it.
Yeah, no, not yet. At least that would be cool though.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another one. True or false? Actor David Howlett met him in college during film school. His acting friend there. True or false, Austin?
True.
It's false. No,
False?
he met him in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So
close. They were young. I mean, figured they would be when they were young.
Yeah.
Same with Andrew Miller. Actually, they all met when they were teens.
Yeah. So okay, here's the second last question. See, I wrote down 12 of these, so we're doing the 6. Okay, so
this is fun. It's rare that I'm good at quizzes, but
yeah. Now on my part, this was one thing I forgot to do in advance, so I did this quiz thing last second. Usually, I would prepare it more in advance, as I did for the last episodes. I screwed up here a bit, but all good. But anyway, not counted.
How dare you?
Oh, not counted as short film. Which film of his finished shooting in the shortest amount of time? Was it A, Cube, B, Cipher, C, Nothing, D, Splice, E, Haunter, or F, In the Tall Grass?
I don't know this one.
Finish shooting in this. Nothing.
Okay, so that's your guess. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I actually don't know this one. I think that it's Cube. I think they only took like 20 days to shoot.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So, are we both wrong?
Yeah, you're both wrong. Sorry.
Damn.
So basically, it is Hunter, which took him like 20 days to film.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh well, yeah. So in that case, yeah, Cube was probably a bit over that, because I know it didn't take a long time to shoot either, because
for sure
they only had a room, one Cube.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So and this is just the last one, all right? True or false? He first got the idea for Splice when he saw a photo of a mouse with a human ear growing on its back.
Good Lord.
I know this one. So.
Good God. True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally got one.
Yes, it's based on a weird genetics experiment.
Good Lord, a mouse with a human ear. That's horrifying.
Yeah, you can look it up online. It's a real thing that happened.
That
and now,
you
in the comments,
right?
You get the answers right.
Now the poor mouse must have a disproportionate giant ear, just like.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the mouse is dead now, Austin.
Yeah, it's right. No, they made more. It breeded.
Yeah, it's sort of like the experiment with the two-headed dog, where it lasts like a day.
It impregnated a human.
Mm-hmm.
But well, yeah. With that, guys, any final thoughts on our director for today?
I'll let you two go, and then I'll go at the end, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, usually we also just look at like what he has to come next, but I don't know actually what he has to come next. I tried looking it up.
He doesn't know either.
Yeah, there's nothing on the list.
Yeah, nothing on the list, but besides that 4K release, if it's coming out soon worldwide.
Well, okay, so again, he doesn't even know if it's coming out outside of the festival circuit, at least for now, because I think it was only made for now for festivals, because it's like, I think it was an anniversary for Cube, and also they wanted to give him an award at Fantasia, so they thought it would be a good opportunity to remaster Cube in 4K, especially since it's such an important film, not only for the horror genre but also for Canadian cinema. Like, it really paved the way for genre films in Canada. Like, also, Ginger Snaps would not have happened if Cube had never been made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's gonna get a release anywhere. He doesn't know. I hope that they make a 4K Blu-ray out of it, because I'm gonna buy the shit out of that.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we'll see. His IMDb is pretty quiet on what's next, but hopefully he'll have something coming soon and figure out something. And yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed the movies that I watched. I definitely enjoy his TV a lot, specifically Hannibal. He's got a really great eye in some of these kind of darker shows, like The Strain and Hannibal and Westworld. So he's a great director. He really is.
Yeah, and is just good visionary. I really like him. And it's also just nice, whenever anytime I see a French Canadian filmmaker succeed like this, because I know how tough it is with like the budget you're getting, where it's like once you use it, have to wait 10 years.
Stop.
Like your
you
system
just root
there.
for him because they're Canadian. We all know you bias.
He's not French Canadian. He's just Canadian.
Well, yeah. Oh, right. Well, you know what I mean, though.
For Cole, that's even better.
But yeah, he grew up in Toronto, and it's funny because when I interviewed him, he said hi to me in French, and I thought he spoke French, so I started talking to him in French. And then he says,
I genuinely.
Then he says, "Oh no,
wow.
I don't speak French at all."
I genuinely thought he was French Canadian this whole time. Wow. Okay. Well, never mind there, but still,
he's not.
Well, it's still always great when a Canadian director succeeds, because it's tough there. Like with the budgets and everything, really hard.
Yeah, I mean, he's friends with Guillermo del Toro, so I'm sure that whenever he has another project for a film, he can go see Guillermo and ask him if he wants to produce it.
Right.
And I hope so, because again, Vincenzo is an amazing director. He's very much a visionary. I really, really hope that he gets to make something. He does have something, though. Yeah, he does have something that he told me. It's not officially in the works. He talked about it in the interview, but he wants to make a third film that stars David Hewlett in the main part.
Okay.
So yeah, there was Cube, and then nothing, and then there's a third one that he wants to make, and he didn't tell me anything about it because it's not even close to being filmed, but it's still something that he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Wow. Yeah, we'll definitely be on the lookout for what he's got going on. Alex, thanks so much for being on, man. Thanks so much for.
We'll link all your stuff below for sure.
Yes,
He also does a lot of reviews on Facebook and of course the site and everything. Just they're great reads. They are in French, but you can usually translate them to English.
Yeah, and if for some reason you have audience members who speak French, I write for Horror Quebec, and I do write some of my reviews on Letterboxd as well, so you can follow me there if you feel like it. And so it's Alex Royale Sypel, so that's PSYPELL.
Yes, we'll have all the links in the links in the description, so that way everybody can check out your stuff and. And
I'll link both the interview with Chris Nass and
Chris Nass and Vincenzo.
And any others if you've done any others yet. But
I mean, I did another one, but it's for like French Canadian filmmakers. It's RKSS. It's like a collective. They've made Turbo Kid. They've made We Are Zombies recently, and Summer of '84.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Oh, wow. Yeah,
they're from Montreal.
I actually know those films. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, they're friends of mine. So yeah, I got to interview them and for We Are Zombies. They're cool guys. They're two guys and one girl, but yeah, they're a cool bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us and for checking out the show. Make sure and tune in next time. Check out all of Alex's work, obviously, and make sure and check out the films that we talked about today. The director. We'll also put the director's IMDb and everything in the description as well.
Yeah,
That way you
and
can easily
if
find.
you ever release that Balance film soon, publicly, like on YouTube
Absolutely.
or something, then
Right
we'll
now,
put it in the description.
Yeah, I would love to, but right now it is making the rounds in festivals. So
for sure. Yeah, it's at film festivals and everything. But in the future, just let us know, and then we'll edit it in there.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you guys an exclusive. Yeah. So it's gonna be shown on TV in the UK in October.
Nice. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so thank you. On 3 channels, they're doing kind of a Halloween special, so where they're showing like horror content, including short films, and mine was selected to be part of it. Yeah. So I'm gonna. I guess this is gonna be my first official TV credit, which is gonna help me probably get some financing for other stuff. But yeah, technically, I'm not allowed to say until they.
Honestly, that's actually really cool because honestly, I'll be honest. You mentioned before how film's very personal for you and everything with being overweight. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of been in a similar situation. I'm still overweight now, and I'm still working on it. But also the other thing is, I really love Halloween, the holidays, and I like, going out. And also because my birthday is on Halloween. So because of that, each year I try to in the past, I've tried to lose weight before that day. So then I would, for motivation before that day, and then I can't. So playing it on in October like that, honestly, puts it in the mood more for me now. And wherever it almost that character is going out on Halloween night to a bar or something, and he's depressed because of that. Actually kind of relatable for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope people like it, but again, if you don't, I get it. Absolutely. And there's a short film with that premise that's already been made. It's in the ABCs of Death. It's
Oh yes, the one with the chainsaw lady. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very good one. I think it's just made for gore and gore only. It's this very fast woman who starts cutting out her.
That's the one. When I forgot, for ages to write. I was gonna write a letterbox review for your film on there. I forgot to for ages. I'm gonna do it as soon as I can. Though that was the comparison I was actually gonna make on it as well.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of my favorites in that ABCs of Death, but that's just because that entire collection was pretty terrible films, where it's one of the best. But
yeah, there I'm gonna put the link in the chat. The link of the other box. I mean, of my.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Of my
Absolutely.
film. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so
we'll have everything in the descriptions and stuff, and thank you to everyone who joined us and who will be watching this in the replay. Again, make sure check out the other episodes we've got already out. Where we're talking about, of course, Takashi Miike and David Fincher, and of course next week's episode. So yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you're listening on the podcast, don't forget to check out our other stuff on the podcast and follow and like all that stuff. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.